It's been a long winter for some of us. Did you socialize too much? Maybe you didn't socialize at all? Just thinking about it can be draining. Sometimes we ignore our social batteries. Maybe it's time to get socially energized. That's why BetterHelp is such a great way to recharge. A little therapy can give you the self-awareness to build a social life that doesn't drain your batteries. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/FullHouse today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FullHouse.
Hi, I'm Dave's crappy appetite. Dave calls me his crapatite.
Okay, sorry, crapatite. This is my commercial. It's true, though. Before I found Factor, I had a crapatite. So head over to factormeals.com/FullHouse50 and use code FullHouse50 to get 50% off. That's code FullHouse50 at factormeals.com/FullHouse50 to get 50% off. Trust me, with Factor, you can kiss that bad appetite goodbye. Boo-hoo. Get out of here.
Hello, Full House Rewind fans. We love when you follow us. It keeps our show strong. So go over to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts and hit that follow button. Look, we created a little follow button for you. Go ahead. I'll wait. Hey, welcome to episode 13 of Full House Rewind. I'm your host, Dave Coulier. And our guest today is a talented actor, writer, producer, and yes, he's also the voice of Aladdin. And he graduated from a little-known university, Harvard. But you probably know him as Steve Hale from Full House and Fuller House. Here's a pic of Scott when Full House was on the air. Please welcome Scott Weinger.
Hey, it's great to be here, Dave.
Full House Rewind. How are you, Scott?
I'm so good. I'm thrilled to be here, and thanks for saying I'm talented. I appreciate that.
Well, I've always told you how talented you are.
I have to call my mom and tell her you said that.
I will. You ever on speed dial? Yes. Mom, you're not going to believe what happens.
It was in the teleprompter.
So you are here for episode number 13, also known as Sisterly Love. We're going to talk about it.
Okay.
It was directed by Lee Shallett.
Oh, yeah.
Who was our first woman director on the show.
Interesting.
And this episode first aired January 8th, 1988. You're going to read the little rundown of what happens in episode 13. So,
okay. Jessie suggests that DJ audition for a commercial after she does well in a school performance. DJ does well in her audition, but when she leaves the room, the part is given to Stephanie.
Ooh, now does that just draw you in or what?
It really does. It's a
really
classic episode of television.
Well, now we're going to describe what's actually happening in the episode. We're going to do it together, okay? I'm going to start us off. Okay, here we go. Episode 13. We open with the family congratulating DJ on an excellent performance in her school play, The Frog Prince. She reenacts the play in the living room with Jessie playing the role of the frog.
Jessie is in the kitchen, making Michelle a corned beef sandwich and a pickle. Joey arrives with some fresh groceries, explaining that his doctor would like him to improve his diet and exercise more often. Joey and Jessie talk about decisions they will make that could affect the girls' lives.
Some big decisions.
Yeah.
And I need to go on a diet, just like in real life. Yeah. So then, back to the show, Danny tells DJ that he's talked to a casting director and has gotten her an audition for a commercial. Jessie takes DJ and Stephanie to the commercial audition. Well, while DJ is out of the room, Stephanie plays with the food from the audition. The man from the ad agency sees Stephanie and hires her on the spot, taking the commercial away from DJ. Then Stephanie tries to apologize, but DJ's upset. We're going to get to that. Don't worry.
Joey is in Michelle's room trying to talk himself out of eating a hamburger and fries. He caves and takes a huge bite just as Danny and Jessie enter. DJ and Stephanie are in the kitchen having an argument about the commercial when Jessie and Joey intervene. They talk to DJ about what happened with Stephanie and the importance of being a good big sister.
Well, then DJ and Stephanie talk in the living room about being sisters and how much they actually love each other. DJ then helps Steph with her commercial audition as Jesse and Joey listen in from the doorway. And there you go. That is episode 13.
Yep.
All right. I have so many questions for you, Scott.
Sure.
And usually when you and I get together, we just joke around.
Make a lot of jokes.
But I want to first explain to everybody the DJ's upset
Well, we both
thing.
said DJ's upset.
DJ's upset. Okay. So here's how I remember it when it first started. Okay. Because Steve
I'm
Hale.
curious if we have the same memory of how it came about.
Well, because Steve Hale, and then we'll talk about what we nicknamed you
Yep.
after, would do something and then DJ would get upset.
Yep.
And so then in the scene, I actually started doing this where the audience couldn't hear it, but everybody in the cast could hear it down on the stage. I would go, DJ's upset. And we could all hear it. And I knew you could hear it because I remember you trying to keep a straight face.
Well, you were so good at it because it was just like, it had to be so quiet for it not to ruin the take or get on the boom mic. You managed to get it down to just this sound. And everybody knew what you were saying. You just hear, and you knew that Dave was saying, it was very challenging not break character.
And then it happened a lot because Steve Hale made DJ
made
upset.
DJ upset a lot.
You made her upset a lot. and then you would walk into scenes and your name was Hale and I started calling you Steve Hole.
Yeah.
And then we would just go in scenes. So it turned into and then
So true. It was very, you know what? That was part of the, I was late to the party. I know Lori joined the show late, like after the show already existed.
But you were in the first season? Didn't you come on the first season?
I wasn't on Full House probably until season 5.
I mean, yes, season 5 is what I meant. I was just testing you.
But then, then I joined as like, I think a series regular in season 6. So I was like the new guy and very like conscious of it. But you guys were so gracious and made me feel very welcome. And I think that all that it was part of a hazing process that made me feel like part of the family.
Yeah, you were definitely part of the team from day one. You just fit in, and it was and you were so good natured about it because, you jump into the fray on a new show like this where we're established for so many seasons. It's not easy.
It was intimidating.
It's not easy, because you don't really know everybody or their idiosyncrasies or DJ's upset. You don't know that stuff's gonna happen. And you fit in just seamlessly. It was.
Thanks. You know what I remember? You used to love to make fun of my salary.
Well,
because the show was a monster hit, and it's like in season 6 by the time I'm a series regular. So you guys probably had huge season 6 paychecks. But for me, it was season 1. And so I remember you used to good-naturedly rib me about.
Do you remember what I used to say to you?
Yes, I
do. Should I say it? I don't want it to sound mean because I meant it totally as a joke.
I know.
All right. Do you want to tell everybody what I first said to you?
I remember you were like, "Hey, Scott." So, because it's also part of the business that you have to pay everybody. You have an agent and a manager and a lawyer and a publicist and all this stuff and taxes. And then, of course, I was a minor, so a quarter of my salary went into like a trust
fund
account.
Yeah. Right.
And so I remember you once said to me like, "Hey, Scott, so after you pay your agent and your manager and your lawyer and your accountant and your publicist, and what do you do with your $12?"
But I remember it made you laugh.
Oh my God.
It made you laugh.
I laughed all day, every day on that job. I mean, that's all we did. I heard Lori told you that story about how she had like cramps after the first week on the job. And that's what it was like. You would just laugh so much that you were exhausted from it.
Yeah, and it's amazing that we got 192 episodes finished goofing around that much. But you know what? It got us through the process.
Yeah.
And then there were some tough days, and we worked with little kids, babies.
Kids and animals. The two rules you're supposed to...
In fact, there's the stunt baby.
Oh, my God.
I wanted to have, because all of the things Bob used to do with the stunt baby, we would have that baby. sit in.
I'm shocked it's in one piece.
Yeah, we would. It's not the real one, but I wanted to have one here just to remind us about Bob and all the amazing things he did.
Yes.
With the stunt baby.
Have your batteries ever felt like they're running low?
It's been a long winter for some of us. Did you socialize too much? Maybe you didn't socialize at all. Just thinking about it can be draining. Sometimes we ignore our social batteries. Maybe it's time to get socially energized. That's why BetterHelp is such a great way to recharge. A little therapy can give you the self-awareness to build a social life that doesn't drain your batteries. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/FullHouse today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FullHouse. Visit BetterHelp.com and maybe you could be bursting with social energy. Visit BetterHelp.com/FullHouse today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FullHouse.
Hi, I'm Dave's crappy appetite. Dave calls me his crapatite.
Okay, sorry, crapatite. This is my commercial. It's true, though. Before I found Factor, I had a crapatite. Mostly because I don't enjoy going to the grocery store, so I would get whatever was fast and readily available. And for me, that was fast food. Now with Factor, I can skip the grocery store, the prep work, and all the time in the kitchen making everything. And Factor's done the math. It's less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Everything gets delivered to my front door. No more crapatite.
I heard that.
So head over to factormeals.com/FullHouse50 and use code FullHouse50 to get 50% off. That's code FullHouse50 at factormeals.com/FullHouse50 to get 50% off. Trust me, with Factor, you can kiss that bad appetite goodbye. Boo-hoo. Get out of here.
So this is all stuff I get to ask you that I've never asked you before. What was the first thing that got you on the path to acting?
It's funny.
Because your dad's a doctor.
My dad's a doctor, and I didn't grow up out in Hollywood. The weird thing is I grew up in a town called Hollywood, but in Florida. And grew up in Hollywood, Florida. And
where the sign is really low there.
Yeah, exactly.
The Hollywood sign.
They had to just put it on the ground.
You can't see it.
So there's no
you
mountain.
Can't even see it.
It's on a golf course hill.
Yes.
that's all we got. But I was always like a very hammy kid, and I liked to be in talent shows and do like school plays and stuff. And it was literally, that's why it's fun that you asked me to talk about this episode today, episode 13, because DJ deciding she wants to get into acting, it sort of reminded me how I wanted, because a lot of kids you meet out here in show business, their parents kind of push them into it, or maybe to supplement the family income or whatever. But for me, it was really like I had to beg my parents. There was a career day at school, where like people from different professions come.
How old are you then?
I was probably 8 or 9. I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
It was exactly like the DJ story in the episode, because I begged my parents to help me find out how to get into professional acting, because this professional actor came to career day, and I was like, oh, those are real people. This is just their job, like the people on TV.
Yeah.
It's just people with a job.
Easy.
It never occurred to me, because on account of being 8. and so my mom happened to play tennis with someone whose kid did like modeling for catalogs, and I went to they got me my first audition, and it was just like DJ in the episode. I didn't have a headshot or a resume. We brought my little wallet photo from my 3rd grade class photo, and my mom gave me a whole speech about how not to be disappointed if I don't get it, because these kids are pros. And I said, don't worry, Mom, I'm going to get it. And I got it. It was probably like a blessing and a curse, because I was convinced that show business was super easy after that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, about 25 more auditions had to come and go before I realized, oh, you don't get them all.
Do you have a worst audition? Did you ever have, like, as a kid, you're just going, forget this, I don't want to do this anymore?
I had some ones where, a lot of a lot of auditions you leave feeling like, oh, you don't feel like you did a bad job. You feel like they hate you personally. But I remember this is many years later, when I was like an established kid actor out in Hollywood, California, and I had an audition for this movie, Grand Canyon, with, it was a Lawrence Kasdan movie with Kevin Kline. And my ultimate favorite movie at the time was I Love You to Death. Remember with Kevin Kline?
Yeah.
And it was so good. And so I walk into this audition, and there's Kevin Kline, because he's playing the dad, and Lawrence Kasdan is directing. So these two guys are like my heroes are in this room. And I do the first, and I've got the sides in my hand, the audition sides, and my hands shaking. And then after the first try, Lawrence Kasdan says, "That was good." He goes, "Let's just do it one more time. And this time, breathe." And I don't think I did. I came out of that audition and I looked at my mom and I was like, not getting this one.
Yeah. But being a child actor, being a kid actor, then you moved out here. Was it because you were on Family Man, right? Which was a Miller Boyett show, right?
It was another one of those kind of TGIF kind of shows.
Right.
I was really lucky. I came out to LA for the first time the summer when I was 13 years old, the summer before I turned 14. And nobody told us that not a lot goes on in the beginning of the summer, like television show production. Now it's kind of year round because it's streaming.
It's different now.
But in those days, there would be pilot season in the spring, and then those shows would get picked up or not, and then production would start in the end of July. And so I spent that summer at Oakwood with nothing to do except hang out with other kid actors, which was amazing. And
the Oakwood, that's like a divorcee manor.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it? Yeah.
Oakwood Apartments, which I don't think it's called that anymore, but
it's where you get divorced and then you move in there.
Exactly.
Until you find a real place.
It's funny because it's known for two things. It's known for kid actors or actors and models who come to town for a period for pilot season, and divorced guys, sad dudes who got kicked out of their house. But I don't associate it with that because I was a kid and it was just fun just hanging out with kid actors and stuff. But and so most of the summer I just spent swimming in the pool and hanging out with the other kids. And then at the very end, I had an audition for a TV show that was going into production for their first regular episode, Life Goes On. And
with Chris Burke.
With Chris Burke, exactly.
Right.
And it was one of my first real auditions, and I got it out here. I was really lucky. It was to play the kid who was running against Chris Burke for class president. Yeah. And that was my first LA gig, was that show.
So then did you stay out here or did you go back to Hollywood?
No, then went home to Florida, and because I had siblings, and my dad had a full-time, he was an orthopedic surgeon. He still is, but he doesn't do he's an orthopedist. But so I would go back, and then we came back for pilot season, and on the second day I was in town, I met Tom Miller and Bob Boyett, the legendary TV producers, and they liked me. I had to read for them, do a little audition for them, and they wanted to put me under a holding deal. They said, we want to put you on one of our shows, but we don't have the show yet. So, and I guess it was my agent was like, you're taking this deal. And my mom's like, but we can't, we just got here. She's like, shut up. It's Tom Miller and Bob Boyett they were the kings of television.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And if they wanted to put you on a deal, you were doing it.
Right.
They didn't shoot pilots that didn't get picked up. Everything got picked up. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it was a really lucky break. I had a very smooth, I was very blessed. I got lucky.
So then was Family Man part of that? They just made this deal for you, and then they said, hey, we have a show, Family Man, and they just put you on that show?
Exactly. It was about a widowed, it was kind of a mirror image. No, not a mirror image. It was very similar to Full House in the sense
was
that
it was Gregory Harrison?
Gregory Harrison played my dad. And it was weird because there was actually one time, I forgot, that they flew me to LA, not Tom and Bob. The first time, the reason why we came to stay in LA for the summer in the first place was because I guess the previous pilot season, Burt Reynolds was producing a pilot, a sitcom pilot called The Gregory Harrison Show. And because Burt Reynolds was producing it and he had that dinner theater in Florida, they were auditioning Florida kids. So that was my first time getting to audition for a big time Hollywood, pilot. And so we drove up to Jupiter to the dinner theater, and I did well enough on that audition that they flew me to LA to audition for that. And I read with Gregory Harrison, and I didn't know anything about the television business. I thought I had the part already. I didn't know. I was like, why would they fly me to LA if I don't even have the part? And then, what a waste of money.
Yes.
And so, but anyway, I auditioned to play Gregory Harrison's son in that, and I choked. I was not. I was.
Oh, you
I
didn't
got
breathe.
It was another.
You didn't breathe in that one
I'm
either.
not a good audition breather.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
Yeah.
I'm always great when they give me the part, but if I have to actually try to get
That's
it.
how every actor is.
Yeah.
You know?
Auditioning is a whole different skill.
It is. Some people are really good at
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I was never, ever good at it.
If they would just give me the part, I'm great. But if the stakes were really low, if I thought Aladdin is a great example because I had the audition and my mom said, you have an audition after school today or whatever. And I said, what's it for? She goes, some cartoon. And I think I honestly got the part because I just thought it was some cartoon. If someone was like, this is a huge deal, it's going to change your life, I would have not gotten the part.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
We'll get there.
And I want to talk about your mom, Babs, because she was there a lot during Full House. For
sure.
She was always just laid back and cool about things. She wasn't like your typical showbiz mom. Your brother and sister came to the set. And the Full House cast, we talked about this, was such a tight-knit group. Mm-hmm. But when you joined the show, you became part of the family.
Yeah.
How was it from your perspective to go from, because I want to figure out how you came from Family Man to Full House.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, was Family Man canceled? And
Yeah,
then
so
Tom and Bob, you're still, in that Miller Boyette stable.
We did 22 episodes of it, and it was a really weird situation that doesn't really happen today, but it was a CBS show. It was like an ABC-style family sitcom, but for CBS. And we did the season, and then it didn't get picked up by CBS, but it apparently did get picked up by ABC. It was going to join the Friday night kind of lineup. Right. And to the point where my family, we were going to come back to LA because we kept going back and forth, and we rented an apartment again. And then they decided not to do it. I guess the deal fell through. I guess it was a complicated thing, moving a show. And of course, I'm 15 years old, and I'm like, well, that's it. My career's over. So that was going into like around my junior year of high school, and I didn't have a show. And so I went back to school and sort of resumed my normal life, assuming that that was like a weird little dream that was never going to happen again.
Poor high schooler didn't have a show.
I know. Could you imagine? It sucks when you're a sophomore with a show and then a junior without a show. It's terrible.
But, your family joined our family. It was just kind of,
absolutely.
It was just,
do you remember, that was the year that they called me, Tom and Bob called me, because there was one episode where DJ was going on a date with a guy, but she was supposed to be babysitting for Michelle and Stephanie. But like the cute guy from school asked her out, so she brings the kids on the date to the movies. And so they flew me to LA to do that one episode as a totally different character, Steve Taylor or something. Steve Taylor was another show. Steve Peters.
DJ wasn't even upset at that point.
No, that was pre-upset.
Yeah,
she was upset when she got caught, and Danny, she was grounded. So I just did that one episode, and then the following year they called and asked me to be a regular on the show to join as DJ's new boyfriend.
Like all 24 episodes?
Yeah, that would like to be a series regular, and that was around, and personally, my parents had split up in real IRL. Not on a show. And so my mom, it was sort of a good opportunity for her. She was looking for like a fresh start. So they had offered me this job. And she's like, you know what? Instead of you going out and staying with friends, we'll all move to LA. And so my mom and my brother and sister, we all moved. We started a new life in LA.
Loaded up the truck and headed to Beverly
Hills.
That is.
Literally. It's true.
What's when you look back on Full House, do you have you must have pretty vivid memories of stuff that happened. Because we were so family, there was always stuff that broke that element up, which of course now we got to go back to Bob.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, it was funny because you guys were like a family, and I felt very quickly accepted. But with Bob, he very quickly became like my big brother.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you guys got very close.
Yeah, right away. It was really weird. I found, this is a crazy story. I found recently in a book that I was reading once on a trip to Paris, and he had sent me a fax to the hotel, because in those days that's
fax.
And he was always faxing everybody, because he figured out a way to fax from his computer. He didn't have to print it; he could just send
I think it was called eFax was the program. Yeah, because he would fax me. I remember the letterhead. I'm like, Bob, why are you faxing me? I'm in the dressing room next to you. Oh, because it's new technology. It's cool, isn't it?
Well, you
I'm
got
like,
us into
but
that. You were the Mac guy. You got us all into getting PowerBooks.
Yes.
I remember I was like, I have to get one of these PowerBooks. Everybody has a PowerBook.
Yeah.
And it was like $4,000 in 1993. It was like.
But I loved that technology. I was always a a geek nerd technology guy. I used to write C++ back in the day when you had to write code. You had to write like 20 lines of code to cut and paste something.
Oh my God. Yeah, you were our tech guru back then.
I was. I remember.
I think you still are. Did you get one of those Apple headsets yet? I'm sure you're getting one of those.
No, but I think those are really expensive.
Yeah.
They're going to be like $5,000 or something.
Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah. But, I mean, they look amazing.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to get one.
if they hit, then the price will come down.
Exactly.
They'll flood the market. The price will come down.
For sure. But I remember Bob sent me this. So I found this fax that Bob sent me, and it said, by the way, because he was married to Sherry at the time, and he said, I told Sherry that you're going to be spending a lot of time at our house this summer. And it was funny. Like, he was very proactive about like making me a part of his family. It was really cool.
Yeah, he had a way of welcoming people for sure. Now, I want to go back to Aladdin because it was a gigantically successful film, animated movie and you had no idea that you thought it was going to be a little cartoon.
I had no idea.
So what was the audition like? Had you watched, because Aladdin was like old movies, that they made into.
Yeah, like everybody knows about the genie and the three wishes and stuff. But no, I didn't know anything. I didn't know, I had never done any voiceover work before except for a commercial in Florida for Dania Highlight. Which is like a highlight. Yeah, because they did it. They did an experiment where kids could go with their parents to Dania Highlight for free. And so I was like, I'm a kid. I love going to Dania Highlight with my parents, like most kids. And
I don't have a series, so I can go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that was my only voiceover experience. And I auditioned for Aladdin, and so there was like a music stand with the sheets, the dialogue on it. And they show you a picture of the kid. Like, this is what he looks like. And I was like, kind of like me. Like, I'm a teenage boy. This is what he looks like. And I did the audition, and they were like, they were impressed. Like, they said, "Oh, your voice sounds really." It turned out they had their eye on me from before. They had one of the animators liked my voice from The Family Man, I guess. And and so had
you never know.
Yeah, it's crazy how it works. And they said that was great. So we have one question: can you sing? And at this point in my, I learned from years of struggle that when they ask you if you can do things at an audition, you lie and say you can. And then if you get the part, you learn how to do it. So if can you juggle fire? You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get the part and you hire a fire juggling coach, and
because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida.
Throw a rock in Florida, you'll hit a fire juggling coach.
You totally will.
And so I practiced. They gave me sheet music and a tape of like this demo song, and I practiced really hard. Like, I was like, I'm gonna nail this. I could, I could do this. And so I went. That was my second worst audition of my life, was singing the audition, singing for Aladdin. And I came out of the audition, and my mom's like, and I gave her the thumbs down. She's like, I'm proud of you for trying, because you're not a singer. And so we just put it out of our mind and forgot about it, went back to Florida like we always did. And then like 6 months later, they reached out that I was still up for it. And I had to send another tape. So I made a tape with my mom playing the genie and with her Brooklyn accent. and it's funny because the first line that Genie has in the whole movie is "Oi." He goes, "Oi, 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck." And that's exactly how my mom actually talks. So it was like perfect. And so we recorded that at home and mailed it to my agent in LA, and they just kept bringing me back until finally the movie came out.
And Robin Williams played the genie. Did you ever interact with him, or you guys? Oh, you did.
Yeah. Well,
so you guys did recording sessions together?
Yeah. I recorded a lot. I recorded mostly with Linda Larkin, who was the princess. We did a ton together.
Yeah.
But you couldn't not have me and Robin together because he improvised so much. So he would change his dialogue. So I would have to change mine sort of on the fly, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And that's another case where I was incredibly nervous because he was my hero. I mean,
so many people. He was my hero too.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, you remind me of him in a lot of, like your humor is very. It's funny. I was watching one of those early Full House episodes, and you've got the like Hawaiian shirt on and like 2 swatches. And like, you had like a Robin vibe, a Robin Williams
Well,
vibe.
we were working the clubs at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure
And
you guys knew each other.
we had an incredible group. It was me, Saget, Shandling, Seinfeld, Jim Carrey, Howie Mandel, Mike Binder, Drew Carey, Roseanne, Letterman, Leno, Robin Williams. So when and none of us were famous back then, but when you followed like a Seinfeld or a Shandling or Saget or Robin Williams, you couldn't go try stuff out at
You have to bring stuff that
You'd had to
works.
bring your A game that you were killing with on the road.
Yeah.
And you had to go up after Robin and but usually Robin would stay on stage for an hour and clear the whole room out.
Oh my
That was
God.
the end of the night, That was about it.
Well, the interesting thing about him is that, I was so nervous to meet him, and I had an image in my mind of him being this crazy manic Robin Williams guy, but he was so quiet and soft-spoken and very disarming.
Yes, he was. He talked like this a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Yes. Oh, good to see you, Scott.
But then, of course, the red light would go on, and we'd start recording, and he would turn into that
he
character.
had a switch. He had an on switch that I've never seen in any other performer.
It blew me away.
Maybe Richard Pryor. I saw Pryor work out a lot of stuff at the Comedy Store. Robin had a switch. Now, this is interesting talking about Robin Williams and animation. Robin had a series called Mork and Mindy on ABC, produced by Ruby Spears. And so Robin goes off to do Popeye film in Malta.
That was my first VHS tape I ever owned.
Was it really? Yeah. Such a quirky movie with Shelley Duvall.
Loved it.
And so Robin wasn't available to do the voice for the Mork and Mindy cartoon. So I went in and auditioned.
And did a copy of Robin's voice.
Uh-huh.
Oh, look, Min Min. Yes.
But Robin was a big inspiration to me when I first came to the Comedy Store.
Wait, now, is that how you got exposed to Tom and Bob and that whole world of their show?
Totally unrelated.
Oh, that's interesting.
Totally unrelated.
Because they'd made Mork and Mindy. Weren't they both involved?
Tom Miller was.
Okay.
Tom Miller was. But it was totally, by the time they get to the animated series, it's just kind of like, it's the child you don't want to talk about,
Sure. When I was a kid, I watched all that. I had an egg.
Did you?
When I was a kid.
Nanu. Yes. Mark calling Orson. Mark calling Orson.
Love
Yeah, but he was very kind to me. And when I was probably 20 years old at the Comedy Store, he, took me under his wing and just gave me a pep talk and said,
You're very funny.
actually he said, you're very effing funny.
Nice.
But sat me down for 40 minutes at a table at the Comedy Store and just said,
You're going to be really funny, and I've watched you, and blah blah blah. And
That's
it
a
was just like
confidence boost.
when
Robin
the biggest
Williams.
when the biggest comedy star in the world
Yeah.
kind of plucks you and wants to give you a real pep talk.
Mm.
I was like, wow, how cool was that? And I did comic relief with him, introducing me at Radio City, and he couldn't have been more of a gentleman and more nice. And I just thought, wow, this is the biggest comedy star on the planet. Why is he being so nice to me? And then I gave him $1 million.
Oh, that was so nice of you. You're always so kind that way. I get $1 million for being on your podcast, right?
Yes, you do.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you do. And you won't have to hire a fire juggling acting coach. You don't even have to.
I didn't have to bring any talent to this whatsoever.
So, can you play a little game with us here?
I would love to.
All right. Well, we had great chemistry on Full House, of course. So I always wondered, what would a Full House have been if they cast someone else? So let's see who you would cast on the show.
Okay.
Differently. Okay. I'm going to do 3 impressions. You just have to pick one, and I'll bet you, no matter what you pick, you're going to win a prize.
All right.
No matter what. So it's just everybody's a winner here at Full House Rewind. Okay, here's the first impression.
Hi, I'm Joe Pesci, and I'm auditioning for the part of Stephanie Tanner. I dated a girl named Stephanie once, and her brother told me, you're funny. You should do sitcoms. And I said, I'm funny? Funny how? Am I a clown? Am I here to amuse you? This guy's a wise guy. I'm going to shoot you in the foot, Spider.
That's one
Okay.
for Stephanie.
I mean, I don't know if I need to see any more because that one is so good, but I'll hear the
I
other
passed the audition?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, here's the next one.
Hi, I'm auditioning for the part of Comet the dog. Look, I'm a dog. I guess maybe the antlers threw you off.
Okay, love
That's
it.
second chance. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's the third.
This is tough.
It's going to be tough for you to pick. Okay. I am Pee-wee. I'm here to play the baby. Look, I'm a baby. What do you think? Who would you pick?
I feel like my
Joe
favorite.
Pesci, Bullwinkle, or Pee-wee?
I got to go with Pesci.
Everybody's a winner. You win. And here you
Thank
go.
you, thank you.
I have a prize for you right here.
Is it Joe Pesci? Because he could fit in that drawer.
It is Joe Pesci. And it is a cut-it-out
No way.
T-shirt.
I always wanted one of those.
And cut-it-out hat. So there
Oh my
you go. So that is yours.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I am so grateful.
unbelievable.
Wow.
How you just picked that out of thin air. All right.
You know what? I've got taste.
So we get to do one more thing with you
Okay.
before we say goodbye. And it's time for Cut It Out.
Cut it out.
So, of course, every episode of Full House, had that heart-wrenching
Yep.
scene. And we cut out a scene from episode 13. And you and I are going to read it together.
Okay. Now, who am I
And
playing?
now I always play Danny.
Okay.
So I'll be playing the role of Danny and DJ, and you're going to be playing Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So
Well,
here we go.
she is adorable, and so am I. So
Yeah, I know. Well, you could, and the light brings out the your beautiful
My
eyes
adorableness.
here, your adorableness too. All right, so
right.
here we go. So DJ and Stephanie are in the living room. Here we go.
Okay.
Danny says, "Your Uncle Jesse says your room is monster free, so I'm only staying here until you two fall asleep. You were right about one thing. I was a little jealous."
That's okay. I'm always jealous of you.
"Really?"
Uh-huh. That's why I follow you around and bug you. I think you're the smartest, prettiest, funniest girl I know. Except when you hate me.
"I don't hate you. I was just mad at you. And someday I'll probably be mad at you again."
Can you tell me when so I can go and visit Grandma?
That was funny, Steph. "I know the rule is you have to love your little sister, but even if you were some strange little kid who lived in my room, I'd love you anyways. You're my best friend."
Really? I'm your best friend?
"Yep."
Well, that works out great. Because you're mine.
And they hug, and the scene ends. Always brings a tear to my eye. Scott Weinger,
Wow.
thank you so much for being here. Can we get you to come back and do another episode?
I would be delighted anytime.
Scott Weinger, ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
Thank you.
He's going to go and hire a fire juggling acting coach right now and come back.
Gotta have one.
We'll be right back. Okay, here's some of my observations about episode 13. All of us at Full House didn't know if we were going to get a back nine to complete our first season of 22 shows. I remember being in Chicago doing a stand-up gig when Jeff Franklin called me and said, "I just talked to ABC and they picked us up for a back nine." Whew. I remember feeling very happy when I spoke with Jeff, and I thought, this show just might make it. Living with uncertainty is baked into a career in Hollywood. I usually didn't know where my next job was going to be. Before Full House, I would bounce from audition to audition when I wasn't on the road doing stand-up dates. I look back on that pickup as the moment where I thought, maybe I'll be somewhat successful. I was very well aware how fickle audiences could be and how swiftly shows get canceled like that. But for that moment in season 1, I finally had just like a small window of certainty. Felt pretty good. We'd love to hear your thoughts about Full House. Tell us about your favorite episode or just why you love the show so much. Or maybe, heck, you've got a question for me. Send us an email with the link at socials@podco.us. We close every episode of Full House Rewind by giving all of you who need it a hug. And this week, our hug goes out to those that feel a bit unsure about the future, kind of like how I felt before Full House got picked up. Those of you who are struggling to find work, or maybe you're worried about a friend or a loved one who's having a battle with their health. Unfortunately, there's no magical cure for uncertainty, but I know it helps. Sometimes just talking about it can be a little bit of a release valve of all that built up stress. Sometimes just watching an episode of Full House can make you feel better. In the meantime, for all of you who need it, here's your Full House hug from me. Here we go. Bring it in. There we go. All right. Well, that's our show. We'd love to thank our special guest, Scott Weinger, for stopping by. So join us next time here on Full House Rewind, and you can watch all of our episodes on our Full House Rewind YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. So long. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Full House Rewind. We'll see you next week.